Cindy, how are you doing? Welcome, everyone. I'm going to wait a few more minutes just to make sure everyone has time to log on to the training who wants to view it today. Welcome, everyone. I see that it just hit 10 a.m. I still see a few participants rolling in, and so I'm going to give them a few more moments to log on, and then we'll get started with the training today. Thank you. All right, and I still see some more participants coming in today, so I'm still going to wait a few more moments. That way everybody has time to log on, and then we'll start our training this morning. All right, it looks like we have about everyone right now, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's SkySlope training. Just to put a voice to the face for you, my name is Ciara. I am your customer success manager over here at SkySlope, and I'll be walking you through the training today. Now, just so you guys know too, throughout the training, I will pause to see if there's any questions, as well as if you do have a question, you can put it in that chat box, or when I do pause, you can unmute and ask your question then as well. My next introduction though is to our amazing SkySlope support team. If you take away anything from the training, just know you always have access to our SkySlope support team within your SkySlope account. They guarantee response times with phone, chat, and email. If you choose to give them a call, they will pick up by that second ring. If you'd like to chat in, you have a 10-second response time there. Or if you just want to send an email, no problem, 20-minute response time there. Now for our agent training here today, I'm just going to break it up into these 2 steps for you guys. First, I'm going to show you how to create a property file. And then once we have that property file created, I'm going to show you how to turn in documents. That way your brokerage can review them and you'll be paid on time. So with that, I'm going to hop out of my presentation and go into SkySlope. Now, when you first log into SkySlope, this is going to be the page that it takes you to. This is going to be the home page within SkySlope for you guys. And so as you can see up here at the top right corner, there is your brokerage logo. And whenever you click on that logo, it will always bring you right back here to the home page within SkySlope. Now to access our support team, as I mentioned these guys in my beginning intro, and that's just because they are that important. You can find them up here at the top right corner with the icon of a person with a microphone. So up here, when I click on that, it will then give me access to my support center, and my ability to chat with them will come up here at the bottom right-hand corner. Now, if I click on that, fill in this information and click Start Chat, within 10 seconds, a real live person is going to help me with my question. We also have this search bar right here. Let's say you're not in the mood to talk, you've been doing that all day. Go ahead and type in a word, a phrase, anything like that, and YouTube videos, step-by-step instructions, tutorials will come up for you there. As well as we have popular topics. And so after this training, if you want to do a deeper dive into any trainings, we have on your own time trainings. Those are going to be on the hour, every hour, Monday through Friday with live Q&A for you. And they're broken up with 15-minute sections for you guys. Going back to the homepage now though, to start us off, I'm going to create a property file. Now I'm going to think of everything we do today in relation to my client and my timeline. And so today I'm going to be meeting with my seller. Her name is Jennifer. Jennifer let me know she is ready to put her house on the market. So we met for coffee, got that listing agreement signed, and all of those terms ironed out. So now I'm ready to turn this document into my brokerage to review. Now to do that, I'm going to create a property file. Since I am representing the seller today, I'm going to start by creating a listing. However, if I was representing the buyer, I would start by creating a transaction. So I'm going to click here on Create Listing. When I click on Create Listing, that's going to introduce me to Sky. She is our virtual listing assistant, and she's going to help me by creating this property file. And so I'm going to click on Enter the listing. The first page you might see is this. I'm just going to toggle over to address lookup. So that way I can start typing in my address. Now, as you start typing in the address, it will generate below. Now, I am in California. That's why it's pulling up those California addresses, but it will be based on your Google search. And so to get my Canadian, I'm going to go ahead and type it in here, So I can do manual address. If it's not on Google, I can always enter it in manually like I am now. So I'll do Main Street. I can go ahead and put in my zip code. Perfect. And then once I'm ready, I'm going to go ahead and click on Let's Go. As you can see too, if it is on the MLS, it will come up. So that way you don't have to do any double data entry. But I'm going to say this is not the listing I'm looking for. So that way I can show you guys the manual process and how easy it is. Next, what type of listing is this? Today's going to be my residential listing. These are just determining what documents you need to turn into your brokerage to review. How much is the property listed for? I can go ahead and put in that list price. What is the listing and sale commission? We do have tiered commission here. And so I can put a percentage for that first 100,000. And then I can do the remaining 400 with a different percentage. There we go. So that's going to be for the full listing commission and then also the sale commission. So I can do the same thing, whatever that is. Now, if I am working with a team member or a co-listing agent from my brokerage, I can add them right here by adding them as a co-listing agent. And what that's going to do is that we'll share this property file with them so that way they can see it on their login. Today, though, it's just myself, so I'm going to click on Next Question. How long is the listing for? So I can put in that listing and that expiration date. And then lastly, who is selling the property? Well, today it's my longtime friend, Miss Jennifer Aniston. You may have heard of her. If Jennifer was using her LLC to sell the property, I could always come here to switch to a company seller, or I could add additional sellers if there was more than one party. Today, though, it's just Jennifer, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Next Question. And then the last thing Sky will ask is, does everything look right? You don't have to worry about this picture. That's just pulling over. That's not going to connect to anything, but I'm just checking right here. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to click on Create My Listing. Once I do that, the first tab that comes up is going to be my checklist tab. And that's just because Sky has already filled out the information for that listing and the contacts tab. So when I land on my checklist tab, I'm going to take a look here under this listing documentation. This is going to be my compliance area, and this is going to be where I'm uploading all of those documents for my brokerage to review. So you will notice some color coding happening here. The items in red are required, which means they must be submitted for you to get paid. And the items in blue are if applicable, which doesn't mean they are not important. They just may not apply for each and every file. All right, I'm going to take a quick pause to see if there's any questions on creating a property file. Oh, I do see Sunny said that there's no sound. Are you guys able to hear me? I just want to make sure. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Maria. Awesome. So now that we have this property file created, our next step is to turn in documents. Now, to turn in documents, we're going to stay on this checklist tab. Think of the checklist tab as your official tab. This is where you're submitting everything to get reviewed. This is where your admin team can see that you have something to review. And so there's a couple different ways we can upload documents here. If you have a single PDF on your computer ready to upload, we can find the item we want to assign it to. So let's say that listing contract. And to the right, we can click on this attach icon. Oh, Sunny, this is being recorded, and so afterwards we can make sure we send this out for you, so that way you can see it. And I'm sure she can't hear me. I'm so sorry about that. Once I do click on that attach icon, I will get this new page here. And so here I'm able to upload a document from my computer. If I click on that, that will then bring me my documents. I can search through my computer if I need to upload that. I'm also able to drag and drop an item from the checklist. And so if it's on my desktop, I can pull it over here and drop it on one of these checklist items. But the third way is really cool. That's going to be using this property specific email address up here. Now this email gets generated when you first create the property file. And so let's say Jennifer decided to take the listing agreement home, and then she emailed me that fully executed document. Instead of going to my email, downloading it to my computer, and then uploading it here manually, I can simply just copy this email address, go into my email and find that correspondence with Jennifer. There it is. She says, I'm so excited to list another property with you. And there is that listing packet. And all I'm going to do now is forward this email to that property specific email address and click on send. Now, what that's going to do is that will save this email correspondence for me underneath the log tab of the property file, and it will upload any attachments for me into the documents tab. All right, there we go. So if I go back to SkySlope, I can refresh the page by clicking on the tab I'm currently on. So I can click on checklist. That will refresh this page, so I will see nothing has changed here. And that's because I will never submit anything. SkySlope will never submit anything on my behalf. And so to find that document, we're going to go to the right to the Documents tab. Awesome. So now when I get to my Documents tab, here is that listing packet that I just emailed in. Now this is a packet, meaning that there's multiple documents in it, and I do need to split them out into the individual documents to attach them to the checklist. So to split out this PDF, I'm going to come over here to the right-hand side and click on the split icon. That will then give me access to my split tool. And as I can see over here on the right-hand side, this is going to be that packet, that document, that PDF I'm splitting out. I can use the toggle to scroll through everything. Keep in mind that this is a demo, and so I do know that these are Texas forms, but this is going to work the same as for your Canadian forms. And then you can use the arrows to go through the different pages as well. On the left-hand side too, this is where we're going to be splitting this PDF. And so the first one I know is my listing contract. And so as I start typing in the name of the document, if this is on my checklist for me, it actually will generate right here. These are going to be the checklist items. And I actually want to assign this to that checklist item. So I'm going to select it from this dropdown. And I actually know what this form is. I know exactly what page it starts on and ends on, but I can go through to make sure I know exactly what page it is for. And so I know pages 1 through 8 is going to be my listing contract. Now my second document, I'm not sure if it is on the checklist or not, but I can't see what's on the checklist on this page. And so for me to pull up that checklist, all I'm going to do is click on the space bar, and that will actually bring up my entire checklist for me. So that way I can scroll through and see if it's there. Oh, yep, there's the fin track. So I can go ahead and just select that one. So that way it is attached once I split this out. And that's going to say be 9 through 11. And then the last one, I can go ahead and do the same thing, do my space bar, or I can type in the name if I know the name. And then I can scroll down. Okay, there is that privacy and consent form. Let's just say that was the remainder of this packet. Once I am done splitting out this packet, I'm going to come down here and click on Split and Assign. Once it's split, you'll get this nice little pop-up. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on Go to Checklist, so that way you guys can see what it looks like. And as you can see now, those 3 items are now in review status. What's really nice about this is you do not need to call or text your file reviewer. They will automatically receive it once it's in this in review status. Once they do receive it, they're then able to review your documents. And once they're done with that, they'll send you an email. And that email is going to look like this. It's going to have checklist update with the property address. And you'll be able to see which items they accepted because it will have that green completed status, and which ones they rejected because it will have that purple incomplete, along with a comment letting you know why they rejected it. All right, I'm going to take a quick pause to see if there's any questions on uploading documents or even splitting out documents. All right, no worries. I know I threw information at you at a fast pace, but before we wrap up, I do want to just go over a couple other things within a property file so that way you guys are aware of it. So now that we've covered that checklist tab, remember that's going to be your official tab. The other tab I want to show you guys is going to be that documents tab. Now here, the documents tab is going to be your working area for anything relevant to the property. And so you can store photos, utility bills, staging receipts, anything you want to keep track of here. You do have unlimited storage here as well. And so as you can see from the documents tab, we can actually see which items are assigned to the checklist because it's going to have that paperclip icon to the right. And if I hover over it, you can actually see that I can see exactly what item it is assigned to. From the Documents tab too, I can always select a document and assign it to the checklist. So if I do that, that'll show me my checklist and I can assign it. I can also select and unassign it. I can also send it out via DigiSign, which is our digital signature platform, or I can even just email it out. The next tab is going to be my log tab. Now this is going to have all of the activity within a property file for me. And so I'll be able to see when a document was uploaded, when a document was reviewed, and who reviewed it. It will be stored in chronological order here, as well as if you remember I said that that email correspondence that I forwarded over will be saved in that log tab. I can find it here under EMLREC for email received. And if I wanted to see what was in that email, I could click on that link. And there I could see that correspondence. Also, if you would like this to be your communication log, you can actually CC this property specific email address on all of your correspondence, and that will save directly here underneath the log tab for you. So that way it's all in one place. The last 2 items that I want to show you guys within a listing file is going to be, let's say Jennifer decides to get cold feet and wanted to pull her listing. Up here at the top right corner, that is going to be that withdraw listing icon. Here, I can go ahead and click on that if I did need to cancel it out. And then let's say on the other hand, I actually get an accepted offer. So that contract's been executed. I'm ready to convert this listing into a transaction now. So that way I can enter in that sales side information. To do that within a listing file, I'm going to go underneath my official tab, which is going to be that checklist tab. So there it is. And underneath that official checklist tab, there I can see that accepted contract icon. And so when I click on this, that will convert this listing into a transaction for me. So that way I can enter in that sales side information. Now going back to the home page, I can click on that brokerage icon up here. Once I create my listing, I'm able to find it here under Manage Listings. At the top, I'm able to see all of my active listings. And to the right of the active files, I'm able to see those two icons I just discussed. So the first one's going to be that withdrawal listing icon. And the second one is going to be that accepted contract icon. Now, as an agent, if I ever cancel out a listing or a transaction, I will need admin approval to fully cancel out the file. And so when I click on this withdrawal listing icon, it will move this file under canceled listings pending approval. So just so that way you guys are aware of where the files get stored and everything. So once I do withdraw this listing, it will first move down here under canceled listings pending approval. Once my admin team does approve that cancellation, it will then move it from this manage listings section and it will put it under canceled contracts on the home page. Now, underneath canceled contracts, you'll never lose access to those property files, but it's just clearing out your working space. And so if you did need to go back to review anything, you can find it there under canceled contracts. I see e-sign option within the platform, so we will no longer need to subscribe to my e-signature apps anymore. That is correct. And so I'll actually show you what that looks like so that way you guys see what DigiSign is all about. Great question. All right, so now that I've covered your two steps, I primarily covered it with a listing side. I'm just going to quickly discuss the process for a buyer since it is slightly different. When you represent the buyer, you will not need to start by creating a listing, but instead you'll create a transaction. Since you've already mastered that creation process though, let me go ahead and hop into a file ready to go. So I'm going to click on Manage Transactions. All right, perfect. So this is going to be my Manage Transactions section. These are going to be property files where I represent the buyer or when I have that accepted contract on my listing. And so I've converted it into a transaction. And so I'm going to go ahead and go into this pending file. When you create a transaction, the first tab you'll fill out is going to be that transaction tab. This is going to be similar to the listing tab. It's going to have all of the basic information such as property address, sale price, acceptance date, closing date. The second tab is going to be that contacts tab. That's where you're going to have your seller, purchaser, title escrow attorney, agent representing the other side, all of their contact information. The third tab is going to be new for transactions, and this is going to be your commission tab. So this is how you let your brokerage know how you would like to be paid. And so here, as you can see, we can go ahead and enter in that listing and sale commission. We also have areas for deposits, referral details, or even additional commission information. One thing to note, when you first create a transaction or convert a listing into a transaction, this status will first show incomplete in purple. And that's just because you're filling out these three tabs. Once you do fill out the commission tab, you'll click on this submit icon. And that will then generate your checklist tab for you and change that incomplete status to pending status. And so I know I've gotten a lot of, well, I'm just trying to turn in documents, but for some reason it's saying incomplete. Why is that? That's just because you're still filling out the basic information for this property file. Once you do get to that checklist tab though, it's going to be the same as the listing side, where this is going to be your compliance area. This is where you're going to be submitting all of those documents for your brokerage to review. And the reason I like to highlight that too is because let's say, you know what, you just uploaded it here to that documents tab. Your file reviewer will not get notified that you uploaded it. And so you'll always want to make sure that you attach those documents that you would like to have them review to the checklist tab. And then the other tabs are going to be similar to the listing side. And so I'm just going to draw your attention to the top right corner up here, transaction actions. When I click on that, that is where I can see that cancel transaction icon. And so if I did need to cancel out the transaction, that's going to be up here at the top right corner. All right, perfect. So something you may be wondering about is what happens on closing day? Well, if your if your file is completed and everything has been submitted, then your brokerage can close and archive the file for you. However, if the closing date has passed and they're still waiting on a few items, then they're able to close out the file, but they will not archive it. And so I'm going to go ahead and go back into Manage Transactions. So if your brokerage just closes out the file, then it will move it from this section up here down to Close Transactions to be archived. Once they do receive everything and you've been paid, they don't need to look at this any longer. It will then move that file from this Manage Transaction section, and it will move it under here, under Access Archives on the homepage. Now the Access Archive section, this is going to be where all of your closed and archive files will live. You'll never lose access to them either. And so if you do need to go back to review anything, you always have access to them there. All right, so just a quick overview. We now know how to create our listing, manage our listings, create our transaction, and manage our transactions. I'm going to go ahead and go over DigiSign for you as well. But before we head into that section, I just want to see if there's any questions. All right, perfect. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and go into DigiSign. Now, DigiSign is SkySlope's digital signature platform. And just like earlier, you don't need to subscribe to your own e-signature app if you don't want to anymore, since this is provided with SkySlope. The first tab that it takes me to is going to be that completed tab. Now here, if I have any envelopes that I've sent out that are completed with the signing, they will populate here. We also have drafts and sent, but today I'm going to click on New Envelope to show you what it looks like. The first question it will ask is select a property to return the signed documents to automatically. And so if I wanted this to upload into my property, it will upload into the Documents tab. If I didn't have a property file created just yet, let's say we don't have an accepted offer just yet, but we're sending out documents to sign, I can click on No Property up here to continue. Today though, I'm going to go ahead and select that Main Street that we just created. And that will then integrate that property file with DigiSign. And so as you can see over here, it will upload any documents I have uploaded within the property file, or I can even upload a document from my computer. Today, I'm going to go ahead and select those documents. As you can see, when I select the documents, they will come over here on the right-hand side. And if I select multiple, I can drag and drop in the order I would like them to show. Next is going to be the recipients and signing order. And so I can go ahead and add myself to sign the document, as well as Jennifer. I'll go ahead and put her email address in there so I can show you what that looks like. Now, when I select both of our names, we will both go under who signs first. Now, what that means in SkySlope is that we will both receive an email to sign at the same time. If I wanted Jennifer to sign after I was done completing my portion, I would just simply add a signer group right here and then click and drag her under who signed second. Now, what this means is Jennifer will not receive an email to sign the document until after I have completed my portion. As well as if I need to add a new recipient, I could do so here. I'm going to go ahead and click on next, and that will then take me into the document where I can go ahead and start adding in those action items. So across the top are going to be all of my action items. So I have signature, initials, date sign, date and time, writable, read only, full name, checkbox. And so I'm going to scroll down and I actually want an initial here. So I'm going to click on the initials and then click on the document. And I actually see, so this is assigned to me. I actually want this to be Jennifer. So I'll click on that little drop down and then select Jennifer to change that recipient. I'll do that a couple more times, clicking on initials, clicking on the document, and then changing it just so that way you guys can see the difference. Another thing too is if I click on date, the date box does show me the recipient in it, and that's just because it is assigned to that recipient. Once they do sign, that date will populate for me. Are there any questions on DigiSign? All right, perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead and send this out. So I'm going to click on send. There, I could put in that subject and message. Review and sign. Once you're done, you'll get this little pop-up. Woohoo, that was easy. And I'm going to show you how to sign it now. And so what it looks like on your client's end as well. The first thing they will have them do is select a signature font and then click on I agree. And when you click on I agree, that is just agreeing that the e-signature is legally binding. That's not signing it for them. Once they do click on I agree, they can scroll through the document to make sure everything looks correct. And once they're ready, they can click on this start icon. It will take them to their first action item where they'll simply just click on that box. But as you can see there, there is that date that I entered. And so I'm going to sign it. Once they click on their last action item, it will then give them this little pop-up where they'll click on submit. Perfect. And if I go underneath that sent tab, as I can see here, I can see that I have signed it and that email has been sent to Jennifer so that way she can sign her portion. Once she does sign it, it will then upload this document into that documents tab of that Main Street file. All right, perfect. I know I threw a lot of information at you guys at once, but I do want to end on a little reminder that we do have a fantastic support team, and they're going to be your best friends as you familiarize yourself with the system. And they're going to be located up here at that top right corner with the icon of a person with a microphone. Remember, they guarantee response times with phone, chat, and email. But I will stick around a little longer to see if there's any questions on today's training. If you don't, feel free to hop off and have a great rest of your day. Thank you. I'll wait a few more moments to see if there's any questions. Oh, perfect. So once all required docs are uploaded for brokerage to review, will I receive a notice that review is completed and listing is active? Great question. And so once they do review everything, you will get an email that's going to look like this. They'll send it over to you that your checklist has been updated, and you'll be able to see which items they accepted and which ones they have completed. So that way you know exactly what you need to turn in if you do need to turn in anything, or if everything's been submitted, then you're all set. I do want to say completed and listing is active. You'll just want to make sure that you update the MLS to be active because they don't communicate with each other. But great question. I'm going to wait a few more moments just to see if there's any other questions. If not, happy sky sloping, guys. Thank you. You're very welcome. Have a great day as well. All right, it looks like that's all the questions for today. Thank you guys so much for joining and happy sky sloping. Thank you. Thanks, Cindy.